Okay Flutter, let me know the current weather.
Sure, check this out.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's video in which we'll be creating the weather application that we just saw in the intro. This tutorial will be a complete beginner tutorial for anyone who want to get started in GetX framework. We will be covering areas like making HTTP requests to the API, getting the data from API to our application, creating this beautiful UI, structuring our project, and so on. And also, if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, then consider subscribing and press that bell icon so you never miss any of our future videos. Without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, so here you can see we are currently on our desktop. We have our Visual Studio Code and our simulator side by side to this. Right now we don't have any project open. So also if you are not shown with the welcome screen that is shown to each and every user, then what you can do is you just need to go here to this help tab and click on this get started. And then you will be shown with the by default screen which is shown to all the Visual Studio Code users. So now what we are going to do is we will be cloning the repository that I already created for you. I've created a starter project for you in which I have listed all of the assets that will be required in the weather application. There are a ton of assets that we have to use in this, like a particular asset for cloudy weather, particular asset for rainy weather, and so on. You got what I wanted to say. So now what you can do is, let me just go to my Chrome browser, and here if you go to your Chrome browser and go to github.com//flutter, then this will open up the GitHub repo of ours. Currently we have 137 followers, so I will really appreciate if you guys go there and follow me. So right now if you go and click on this repository, here you will see the first repository that is showing to us is the weather app starter project. So you just need to click on that, and after that you will be redirected to this particular page. Here you just need to copy this, go back to your Visual Studio Code, and now you need to open the command palette. To open command palette, you can press Command Shift and P in Mac and Control Shift and P in Windows. So now here you have to write clone. So this will open this particular option, git clone. You just need to click on that and now paste the particular URL, and then this will show us an option clone from URL. We'll click on this, and now it will ask for the place where I wanted to save this. Let's say I save this on my desktop. Select repository location, and then it will clone that repository, and it is asking would you like to open the clone repository. Okay, let me set this here. Some packages are missing or out of date, you will have to upgrade, so I will write get package. And now if you see inside this assets folder, if we open this in a finder window, inside this assets folder we have two folders, weather and an icons. These icons are the icons which will be shown in the header section, where we have the information for clouds, humidity, and the current wind speed. And other than that, we have this weather icon where we have list of all of these icons. So you might be thinking, why is this 01D, 01N? So I'll be telling you why each of these icons are in this particular format. So you don't need to worry much about that. And now, let me just close this. And here, what you can do is, we are inside our main.dart file. And now we can first of all run this particular application, and this will run this application in our iPhone 11 Pro Max. So we can just wait for it to start, and I will be right back. Okay, so now we got the application started in our simulator. Right now we have the default application that comes in Flutter. So what you can do is, we will delete everything from here and we will write import material.dart. We can create this function void main, which will be the first function that is called whenever any Flutter application is run, and then we will run the application. So we have to create this myapp class. This can be a stateless widget, and this will be myapp. And right now we need to return a material app. We will change this to get material app later when we will be adding the get package. So if you reload, so we are shown with this blank screen right now. So before we start coding anything, I really want each and everyone who are new to this GetX framework to go through this introductory video that I am going to attach right now. And if you really think you are capable enough of handling all of these things, then you can watch from that particular timestamp which is given in the description. And so with that said, now let's shift to our introductory video for GetX. GetX, the only state management framework that combines the route management and dependency injection together. But you might be thinking what this line means. So, route management is concerned with navigation between two screens, showing pop-ups, showing bottom sheets, and much more, all with one single line of code. Also, on the other hand, dependency injection means that we can use instance of one class into another class without worrying much about the state updation. The main reason for its popularity is the reactive nature of state management, which means there is no need to use stream builders or setting up state again and again with writing ton of boilerplate code. In the example attached below, you can see we have a variable name, which is a simple way of assigning a value to it. But below that, we have another example in which we have OBS as the extension, which makes this variable reactive to all the changes that will be made to the string. The data type that we have in Dart are of numerical value, integral value, boolean value, list, map, and so on. But in GetX, we use Rx in front of them. This Rx makes the value reactive to all the changes. So we have the values like Rx dual, Rx integer, Rx double, and so on. The folder structure that is generally suggested to use in GetX is a controller, screens, and a model. This is the model that we are also using in our application. In the controller, we will have a controller that will control our weather application. Then we have the screen, which will be our home screen, and the model, which we will be getting the data from our API. So now it's time to know the API that we are going to use in this particular project. So let me open up my Chrome browser, and here if I go to this particular website, OpenWeatherAPI.org, this is the particular API that we'll be using for this project. I really think this is a great API because inside this particular API we get a ton of flexibility when it comes to getting the weather data. So this can fetch the current data that is inside our city. It can also fetch the data based on particular hours, like in a duration of 30 minutes or 40 minutes accordingly. It can also fetch data on the basis of different days like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and so on. So now if you go to their website, here you will see we have this particular API section. So if you click on this API, and the API that we are going to use for this tutorial is this one called API. So all you need to do is click on this subscribe button here. And now if you click on subscribe button, then it will ask you to fill a particular form. Don't get overwhelmed after seeing this particular form. This is not any kind of paid service. All you need to do is enter your email, the title, the first name, the last name, and all other fields. Then it will ask you to continue with Stripe. And if you go to the particular Stripe form and enter your details there, the details, what I meant to say is enter your card details here, then you can get the access to this particular API. At first, I myself thought that if I enter this form and enter all of my details, whether I will be charged for that API. But trust me, there was no charges as such. I guess the charge is after we make 100 calls. So I really think you are using this API for testing purposes. So if you are using this API for publishing your application to Android Play Store, or rather the Google Play Store or the App Store, then I will suggest you to go to this base plan. So now I will just fill this particular form and get back to you soon. So now if you click on continue with Stripe, so let me get my data here. And now I have entered all my data. If I click on subscribe here, then this will do a processing. And here you can see we are charged total due today 0. So I guess, okay, this is successful. We have received your payment. Your Open Weather subscription has been successfully activated. Now what you need to do is you have to go to your email. And here you will receive a new mail, which is thank you for subscribing to one call by call subscription. So this is the endpoint to which we are going to make our calls. And what you can see here is full documentation for this API is available here. To call this API, you need to use your API keys, which you can find here. So if I click on this, right now I don't have the password because we directly entered the email here. So I have to do this recovery here. You can just do this. And your password has been changed successfully. So now we can log into our account for this. And here I will enter the password, click on remember me, and here you can see we got the API key here. This is currently active, so we can use this API key to make calls. So now let's see whether this is working or not. We are going to use Postman. So anyone who is new to this particular term Postman, you don't need to think this as a traditional Postman. This is a new software which is used for API development and testing. So we will open Postman here. We'll just wait for this to open, and by the time we can get the endpoint that this particular call will be requiring. So if you see this API call to request current weather and forecast data, so this is the one. We can just copy this. So we got our Postman open. So if you see here, if you click on this new request, this will be a GET request. So we can just paste this here. So now it is asking for the latitude, longitude and the app ID. So app ID is the one here. So this is okay. We can paste this here. And for the latitude, I can go to maps.google.com and here let's say we search for Manhattan, New York. I can get a particular latitude, longitude here. We can copy this, paste this here, and we can copy this, paste this here. Now let's see whether this is working or not. Okay, as soon as we click on send button here, we are shown with a particular JSON which will be of format in which we have this current, which will show the current weather. Right now it is broken clouds. The icon is 040. I will be explaining what this means here. And the temperature is this 303, which I think this is not the right format. So we can add one more value here. This will be units. And we can get this as a metric. So you might be thinking how I have added this. If you go to this documentation here, we'll be shown with this particular page where we can know all of the values which we are required for making calls. Here you can see we have this latitude, longitude, the app ID. Then we can exclude some data like the data that they are providing is the current data which is as of now. Then we have the data on the basis of minutes, which I think we don't need because we are not using the minutes in this particular project. We have the data for hourly basis, the daily basis. So the units can be standard, metric and imperial. So I guess we can use the metric value here and we can exclude, because right now if you see we have this current data which is as of current. Then we have minute based data which is for each and every minute. Then we have hourly data, then we have daily data. So I guess we can exclude some data from here. We will write, let's say, exclude, and this can be, what was the value here, minutely. You can copy this value here and we will paste this here. So now if I click on send, let's see the magic here. So we got a current temperature 30.6, which is accurate. If I see this, let's say we search for Manhattan here. And right now in Manhattan we have 30 degrees Celsius and the information regarding clouds is the broken cloud. So here you can see in the API we have the clouds data as broken clouds. We have the particular icon. So this means the API is working. So this is the endpoint that we will be storing inside our Flutter application also. So right now we can minimize this Postman. We got the API here, so we can close this. We can close this, close this, close this. So that's all. And I guess we can close this also. So before we start coding anything, let me show you one more thing. If you see this, here we have the screenshot for the app UI. So with this is this is the header which will fetch the current location of the user, then current date. Then we can show a particular icon based on the current weather, then the temperature. And then we have all of these values, the wind speed, the cloud data, the humidity. And then this is the data based on particular hour. And other than that, we have the data here for fetching it on the basis of next days. Right now I guess by the time I took this screenshot, it is shown with this 10:23 AM. So I will update that. I guess this screenshot is an old screenshot. No need to worry, you will be getting the way for finding out the temperature on the basis of 30-minute duration. So this is everything that we are going for the app UI. And now let me show you how the entire thing is working. So we have this weather API, which is our OpenWeatherAPI, and inside this API we get all of these data here. So we have the data like this current list, this hourly list and this daily list. So we will be using these three lists for getting the JSON data. So if you see, we are calling the weather API through this function process data, which we will be coding inside our application. And inside this process data function, what we are going to do is we'll be getting the latitude and longitude of the current place and then giving that value to this weather API. And from that weather API, what we are getting the result as is a JSON data. And inside that JSON data, we were going to create these classes, weather current, hourly weather, then the daily weather, and we can get the value of these particular list inside this. The hourly list can be inside this and the daily list can be inside this. And every time we call this weather data class, which will be our final class that we will be creating, we can get the instance. Like if we call this particular class, we can fetch all of these values from here. This looks a little bit complicated here, but once we start coding inside our Visual Studio Code, then I can explain more things there. So let's go to our Visual Studio Code, and now it's time to add a lot of packages. So for adding packages, I will suggest you first of all go to this extension section inside the Visual Studio Code and download this particular extension which is with the name Perspec. I can close this here. So what this particular extension will do is it will allow you to add all the packages inside this particular Visual Studio Code window without we have to going to the original pub.dev website where we get all the packages and getting the particular version name. So we can add all of them from here inside this particular window only. So for that, open up the command palette, and here if you write add dependency, then you will be shown with this option Perspec. So you do check you don't click on this dev dependencies. We have to click on this add or update dependencies. Now the packages that we are going to use are, first of all, this will be Geolocator, which will get our current latitude and longitude. And then the important thing is we are not able to guess the particular place, what is the name of that particular locality from this Geolocator package. So we have another package which is with the name geocoding. I'll be telling you how to use that. And then we have got this geolocator done, this geocoding done. Other than that, if you see in the screenshot, we have this particular circular slider. So the name for this is, okay, I got that close. So this will be Geolocator. Then we have geocoding, and we can get the name for this is let me see, sleek circular slider. And we got the geolocator, geocoding, sleek circular slider. Then we have to get the HTTP package for making the HTTP request to our API. And then definitely we are going to use GetX framework. So we have to write GetX and we can click on enter. So now we got all of the packages added here. So what we have to do is we have to close this, and now we will run the application again. So if you see, we can start debugging here. I'll just wait for this to finish. Okay, so we got the application started here, and now let's start structuring our project. So GetX generally works with this particular folders which can be with the name controllers or rather controller. Then we have another folder which will be screens, in which we will have our home screen. Then we have this folder model. So now inside our model we will be creating the model that can get the data from our API, and then the controller that will be controlling everything inside this particular model, which can be getting the data from the API, then storing that data to the model, then passing that data to our home screen. So now we can create a controller which will be with the name global controller.dart, and inside this screens we can create HomeScreen.dart. Other than that, we can create another folder which will be widgets, which will contain all of our widgets that we are going to create. So for our home screen, we will write import material.dart, and this can be a stateful widget. So this will be home screen, and here we can return and scaffold for now. If I click on save, and now if I go to a main.dart file, inside a return we can write this as a get material app, and the home can be our home screen. Other than our home screen, we can get the title as weather, and we can disable this debug option here. So as this application has only our home screen, so there are no need for assigning the particular routes. So if I click on save, so we are here inside our home screen, and now as we are inside our home screen, what we have to do is, first of all, we will be going to our design that we have, and here you can see we have to get the current location of the user. So for getting this particular data, we have to go to our global controller, and here we have to initialize various values, which can be, first of all, we will code up our global controller. So this will be class global controller, which will extend our GetX controller, and we can open this here, and rather if then importing all of this, we can write get. So now inside our get controller, we have to first of all create various values, or rather the variables. So as we have seen in the introductory part, inside our GetX we generally don't have that boolean value or the integer value. We have rx bool or rx integer. Rx here means the reactive state, which means we don't have to use set state everywhere to update the value. The observable here, which is with this OBS, is the one that will take care of everything. So if you go and think a little bit here, the basic thing that we need is a loading value that will check whether the particular data is loaded to the application, and if that data is loaded to the application, it can show that data to the user. So we can write this as final rx bool, and then this will be is loading, and by default it will be true because whenever the user clicks open the application, we are shown with that loading here only. So we can set the by default value as true. Then this will show us an error because this is an rx bool, which means this is reactive. So for handling that thing, we have to make this as an observable. So we write OBS. So we got the is loading here. Now the basic thing that we need for making the call to our API is the latitude and longitude. So we can create the values for that too also. So we'll write final rx double. This will be latitude, and we can assign the values as this. Then we have rx double, and this can be longitude. This will be also like this. The auto completion is through this tab 9, so you can just get this extension also if you don't have. This is an awesome extension, and this is definitely free of cost. So this don't mean everything that I'm telling is a costly thing, and rather the OpenWeatherAPI that I also have, that I told, will not cost you money if you are not doing it on that big scale. For the API development and for your own personal project, I guess that is okay. So you can see we got the variables created. Now we have to create the instance for them to be called. So what you can do here is we will write rx bool, and we will create this function check loading, and then this will go to our is loading and return the value. Other than that, we can write this rx double get latitude. This will be like this. Rx double get longitude. This will be like this. So okay, we got the variables created, we got the instance created. Now as you've seen, if you have been into this Flutter development, we know that for each and every stateful widget, we have this init state which will be loaded whenever that particular class is called, or rather that particular screen is called in easier term. So for our controller, we have this on init. This on init is similar to our init state, and we also have this on close, which is similar to our dispose method. So we have to call this on init here, and inside this on init, what we can do is we will be creating a function which will be like get location. So we can do a get location here. This can be an async function. And now if you see here, we only want to call this function if the loading is true. That means if the application is in the loading state, only then we have to call this value. So what we can do here is we write if is loading is true, only then we have to call this particular function. And now inside this function, what we will be doing is, first of all, if you see the package, this Geolocator package, here inside our Geolocator package, we have this value for adding inside our Android and also inside our iOS. We will be adding them in just a while. Okay, so here what you can see is we have to check whether this location services are enabled, and only if the services are enabled, then we can fetch the current location. So what you can do is, if you go to a VS Code here, inside our get location. Okay, so now inside our get location, what we can do is we will call our Geolocator. So this will be Geolocator, and then we need to check whether location service has been enabled or not. And now we can store this particular value inside our another variable. So let me see what is the type of this. So this is a future boolean value. So what we can do here is we will write bool is service enabled, and here we can write is service enabled is equal to await geolocator is location service enabled, and now we need to return if service is not enabled. So we can do is if service enabled, do write this exclamation mark, because this will check whether the service has not been enabled. Then what we can do, return is future.error, and here we can write location not enabled. So we have checked whether location services has been enabled. So this means whether this particular device has the location service, and now we need to check what is the current status of our permission. So first we check whether that particular device can have the functionality of location services, and now we will check the status of the permission. So this will be like await geolocator dot check permission, and we can store this value inside our location permission. So this will be location permission. Here you can see the return type as location permission. So this will be like location permission is equal to await geolocator, and now we can check if location permission is equals to location permission dot denied forever. If this is denied forever, we can return this, and here we will write location permission are denied forever, and other than this, else if location permission is equal to location permission dot denied. If this is denied, then we can request a new permission. So this can be, here we will write await geolocator dot request permission. Let's see the type of this. This is also a location permission, so we can update the value here. This will be location permission. So what generally happens at this stage is, if we see this request permission, then the Flutter Geolocator plugin will show a pop-up here that this application is requesting for the current permission, and inside this, if we check the permission right now, and if this is denied, then we can return again, which will be location permission is denied. So we can click on save, and now after we checked all of these things, the final thing that we have to do inside this get location function is we will be getting the current position of user. So for getting the current position, we have to just write return await geolocator current location. So we will write get current position, and for getting the current position, what we can see is we have the desired accuracy, and this desired accuracy is of type location accuracy. So let's write location accuracy and see what are the options here. So we have this best for navigation, high, low, medium and reduce. So we can say a high accuracy here, and now when this is done, we can do then, and we can take the value here, which means if I go to this place, we can get the value here. This will be then value, and we can update our latitude and longitude. So this will be like latitude dot value is equal to value dot latitude. Okay, so I guess I have written the wrong spelling here, but no issues with that. And this will be longitude dot value is equal to value dot longitude. Do check this is longitude. So what we are doing here is, let's say we call this function get location inside this controller. Whenever this controller will be called, we will be calling this get location function, and inside this get location function, first of all we will check whether this device supports the location services. If the location services is not enabled, then we will return this location services not enabled. So now if the location services is enabled, then after that we will be checking the current permission of that location services. So by default in any device for any application, the location services are not provided. So what we can do is we will check for this permission. So you can write geolocator.check permission, and after that we can store the value here inside the location permission, and with that location permission we will check whether this is denied or whether this is, if this is denied forever, then we can return this, then we are not able to do anything. If this is denied, which means if the by default permission is denied, then we have to do this request permission. If again this is denied, then we can return this. This is not that much of use here. All you need to do is just request the permission, and after that inside this get location function we can first of all get the current position of a user. So for getting the current position we have this desired accuracy. Even if you see this get current position, we have few values here which is desired accuracy. So we wrote this as a desired accuracy, and inside the accuracy we have a lot of variables here. We have a lot of options here which you already see. So we are going with the location high, and from that we will be getting a particular value, and that value will contain a latitude and longitude. So this is here, that value.latitude, value.longitude, and then we are updating the value of a latitude double value, Rx double, that we created above, to the current value of the output here. And once we got this done, we can just do is loading.value is equal to false. Also click on save. So I guess the first thing is done, which means now we can fetch the current location and the current, and also display the current time. Other than that, for these values we will have to call our API, so we will be coding that in a while. But for now let's design this Lucknow and this date of the current date. So here you can see inside our global controller has been done, and we are inside our main.dart file, which we can close right now and go to our home screen. And in our home screen we can first of all start coding this. So let's say if I reload, nothing will be shown here until and unless we are not calling our get providers. So we have to first of all call them. So this will be like final global controller, and we can write global controller, and then we have to put this value inside. So we will write get, which means we have to import get here. Get, this put means here we are initializing this inside our application. So whenever we run this again, then here you will see the instance of global controller has been initialized, printed in the debug console. And this put is also a kind of dependency injection technique, which means we are calling instance of this global controller inside this our home screen. So we can write this get.put, and we will write global controller, and this can be permanent. And I can click on save here, and if I let's say reload, permission definitions are not found in the apps info.plist. Please make sure to add either ns location or the ns location usage. So what this error means here is, first of all let me close this application, and now we have to go to our info.plist file, and inside our info.plist file we have to update few values which will be location usage. So if you go to our geolocator package, here you can see we have the particular key and string values here. So we can just copy this, and on the top of this we can paste it. Do remember to check the indentation, so you can just do this shortcut here, which is with the command and this bracket, which will be control and that bracket in Windows obviously. So now I can click on save, and now we will run the application again. I'll just wait for this to start. And I guess now if you see, once our app got restarted, this is showing me a pop-up menu here, which is allow weather app starter project to use your location, and the location accuracy we set is a high location, so that's the reason it is showing precise on. So we can either allow, don't allow while using the app, don't allow. So let's say we write this as allow once. So now we are allowing the location services, and also inside the debug console if you see, instance of get material controller and also the global controller has been created. So this get material controller is inside our main.dart file, and also this global controller is the one which we called here. So this means the controllers has been initialized, and now it's time to get started with our design part. So now if you see the design, so before loading this page, we are showing the circular progress indicator, and after that, once the data has been fetched successfully, only then we are showing this page. So this means here inside the scaffold, we will return a safe area here, and inside the safe area child, what we need is a type of value which will check with each and every state that has been updated. So as I told in the introductory video, for fetching the updated value, we can use an OBS, and which is an observer, and here inside this we have a class which will be OBX. So what this will do here is, if you call this child, and this will be OBX, and we can create this like this, and we will call our global controller, and here we have to do is we will check the loading. So this will check the loading whether it is true or not, and if this particular value is true, then we can return a center widget, else we can do a container here. Let's see what's the issue here. I guess I would have to remove this, add this here. The return type bool is in the widget, so this can be removed from here. Isn't the widget okay? So we are closing this here. I guess we have to remove this, and this is asking for one more bracket here. Okay, if I click on save, and now if this value is loading, then we can show a circular progress indicator. The loading is because of our get location. So by the time we are getting the current location of user, we can do a particular circular progress bar here. So we will write center, which will be a constant value, and here we can write child. This will be circular progress indicator, and other than that, we can return a container which will be test. So if we reload, it will show a circular progress indicator here, and after it fetches the location, it will show a test here. So the way we are going to do is, here inside this particular home screen, we will be creating a list view, and inside that list view we will have all of these children. This will not be a list view.builder, this will be a normal list view. We can then call all of these other widgets inside that list view. So let's say we will write this as a list view. Okay, I guess we are missing something. Perfect. And inside a list view, we will write scroll direction. This can be axis dot, we need this as a vertical scroll. So we'll write this as a vertical, and click on save. And for the children, we can create a widget which will be our header, and inside that header we will be calling our location and also the current date. So here you can write header widget dot dart. This will be material dot dart stateful header widget, and we can return, let's say, an empty container for now. You can click on save, and this will be header widget. Perfect. And as we don't have anything inside our header widget, that's the reason it is showing me this. Even if, let's say, I write this as a child location, and now what we can do is, first of all, we will return a column. This will be return, and inside our column we will have the children, which will be a container with the child text, and this can be city. So we don't have the city here right now, so this means we have to implement the logic. So we will first of all create an empty city here, and we have to create the init state. Inside our init state, we can create a function which will be get address, let's say, and for getting the address we have to create this function here. This will be an async function, definitely, because we have to await for the particular time that is being used for getting the values. So here inside this get address, let me show you the other package that we have, which is geocoding. So if you write this geocoding, and here we have this geocoding package. So what this geocoding package will do is, from the particular latitude and longitude that we get, it will show us the particular city or the sub-locality that we are fetching. So we have this function, this is await place mark from coordinate, and then we have to provide the latitude and the longitude. So we can just write this as, so this means we can write this here as await fetch, or rather get coordinate. What was the name of this? Place mark from coordinate. So we will write place mark from coordinate, and now we need the latitude and longitude, so we can write this as latitude and longitude, and latitude and longitude here, and we can click on save. Now this value is of type future list place mark, so we will write list place mark, and this can be place mark. Okay, I guess this is with the name place mark. Okay, and now okay, this is your error here, so this means we have to pass the latitude and longitude here. And now the way we can fetch those values is by calling our global controller, because inside our global controller, if you see, we have the latitude and longitude, so we have to call that controller here. We'll write this as, or rather instead of writing this again, so we can just go to our home screen, call this controller here again, and click on save. And now inside our get address, we will write global controller dot get latitude dot value, and then we will write global controller dot get longitude dot value, and click on save. And now we got the place mark here. And now let's see if I debug this particular line. If I reload the, okay, I just accidentally closed the application. Let me just restart the application again. I was about to press this hot restart and I pressed that stop button. Okay, this is running the export build. So once we allow, this will be allow once. And now here you can see, right now this is showing me null. It is showing me null here. This means we can right now do is, we will get the first value, or rather we can just print the place mark here, and let's see what is the value here. If I reload, go to my debug console. Okay, I have to remove this. If I reload, okay, so I guess there is some interesting thing for you guys to learn this API development. So here you can see we have, after we are getting the value inside our place mark, and when we are printing that place mark, we are showing this particular list, and this is only a single item list. That means we have to create a method in which we will be getting the initial value. That means the zero place, zero index. So here inside this we have the name, the street, the ISO country ID, the country, the administrative area, the sub locality, the locality. So we have all of these things here. Let's say I go to this place, and for getting the particular index, which is 0, now this is of type place mark. So we have to create a value place mark, which can be the particular place. And now we got the place here. So let's say I can now assign this particular place to the city value. So for that we have to write set state, and the city can be place dot, it is asking me what value you have to show. So let's say I can go with the sub locality also and the locality also. What basically we do is we go with the locality thing, because that is a broad area. We don't stick with this sub locality. So this locality option is right here, like locality here. And now let's see what the error here. A value of string cannot be assigned to the variable this. If I write this, okay. And now if I reload the application, hey, and here you can see we have the Lucknow printed here. Even if we change this to sub locality and click on save, if I reload, we should see Faridinagar. Okay, perfect. So this means the location, or rather the geocoding and the geolocator is working fine. We will be going with the locality only. Click on save, and now let's design this inside this in this manner. So we will be getting the current date, and let's see. Okay, we are inside this container. So for that container, what we can do is we will provide a margin. This can be from left 20, right 20, and other than the margin, we will provide the alignment, which will be alignment dot top left. We want this on side the left section. Okay, so we are showing this at this particular place, but we want a little bit of height, or rather the white space from this. So what we can do is, if you go to our home screen, here you have this list view. So before this header widget, we can write const size box with a height 20, let's say. Click on save, or rather we can assign this const value here. Perfect. This Lucknow is printed here, and now we have to change some text style here. So we'll write style, text style, and the things that we have to do is, let's say I increase the font size to 35. You can provide this as a const value here, and now I need to get the current date and time. So for getting that, we can just copy this again, paste this here, and right now we have to provide a little bit of bottom margin also from this particular list item. This will be like this. Top left is okay, and rather than 35, I will go with 34, and the color can be colors.gray 700. Okay, I have to remove this. Perfect. And this is not in a good position, so we can provide a height here. This can be 1.5, let's say, and we can also provide a height to this also, height of 2. Okay, so this look okay. Now I get we have to get the current date, so we can create another value here, date, and for that date we can write date time. Date is equal to date time dot now. If I click on save, this will show me date time cannot be assigned to the parameter string. And for this, I guess we have to format our date in this particular value, July 30, 2022. So the way we can do is, we have forgot to add one package which is with the name Intel. This is not Intel, INTEL, whatever the way you pronounce it. I guess it is Intel or whatever. Do let me know in the comment section. And now I'll just wait for that package. Okay, so now I guess that package has been added. So what we can do is, we will write date format, and now we can see this Intel package. And if you click on this date format and drag a little bit here, we will have this particular section where they will show the particular format that we have to use for generating the particular thing. If you see this, okay, so the way we want, okay, I guess I closed that thing. Okay, so if you see, for getting this inside this July 30, 2022, so if we see, okay, this is the format that we want. This is with this y 4 times m and a d. So we will copy this, and inside this we will write this, and the thing that we have to format is the current time. So we will write date time dot now. So click on save. Okay, July 31st, 2022. So we got the header part done here, I guess. Okay, this is working. We got the init state, and perfect. So now we got the header part done, and now it's time to code this thing. So this is our current weather. This means this is the current weather that we are getting. So if you open up a postman, so inside a current weather, we can see we will be getting the value. This is the current temperature, which we can get from here, current temperature. Then we also have our wind speed. Then we have our humidity. You can see the wind speed and the humidity, and then this is last one, which is, I guess, we got all of this thing done, and it's time to create the models here. So inside this model, we'll be creating the models. For creating the model, I have this one particular extension which is very useful, which is with the name, I guess, if you see somewhere here, we have this JSON to Dart model. So what this plugin, or rather the extension, will do is, we just need to pass the JSON format and it will create the model for you automatically. So what we can do is, we'll go to our postmaster again, and we'll copy everything from here. And now we'll open up a command palette and we will write JSON to Dart build model. And here if you see JSON to Dart build models and then JSON to Dart from clipboard. So we already copied the item, so we can just write this clipboard, and this is asking for the name, so we'll write this as a weather. Click on enter. We don't need any of these values, and it will ask for the place where we want to save. So we already created this model folder, so we can create this inside this model folder. And right now here you will see we have the current values here, which is super awesome. We have the daily values here, which we will be using, the fields like the hourly basis and the rain item here, the temperature and the weather. So I guess we can update this. If you do a Control F, we can write this as a 1 hour. Click on replace everything. Click on save. And now if you go to our model, we'll be creating our model, so we have to copy these values from there. So for our models, let's say, if you remember the screenshot that I shown you, we'll be having 3 models for our current weather, then our hourly weather, and then our daily weather. So inside our model, we'll create a file which will be weather data, which will be our current. So this will get the current model. So inside our current model, we can see, okay, this is the current model. We can copy everything from here, paste it here, and this is asking me to import weather.dart, which we cannot import here, so we can just directly copy it and go to our current folder here that we have. And after the thing that we copied, we can remove first of all this, and below this we can paste this again. And now it's time to check what values we will be needing. And we can also open the screenshot here. The value that we are needing is, okay, this can be like this. So from our current, so from this current JSON, the value that we are needing is the temperature. So the temperature is okay. Then we will also need the humidity. Then we need the clouds, and then we need the wind speed. So this is clouds, then wind speed, the humidity, the current temperature, and then this mist. So this mist is from this particular weather item, weather list. So that's the reason we also pasted it here. If you see, that's the reason we pasted weather here. So we can first of all remove this because we don't need the timestamp here. Remove everything. We need the temperature, so we can keep it here. Feels like we don't need the pressure value here. Humidity, we can use this. We don't need the dew point. We don't need the UVI. We need the clouds. Don't need the visibility. We need the wind speed, and we can delete all this. We can also delete them from here. And also from here. We can delete them. Okay. So we got them deleted here. We don't need now from our weather. And now I guess there is some issue in this weather thing, because if you see the model here for the weather, we are only having ID, main, description and an icon, but here we are showing all of these values which don't really mean anything. So what we can do is, I will copy this custom class here and then we'll paste it here. So this is nothing that much complicated thing that I did. What I only did is we created the model on the basis of these things, which is an ID, main, description and an icon. So we can, first of all, we have this as an integer value, then we have this all of these values as a string, then we created the constructor for them, and then this is a from JSON. This is same as we did above. So here you can see this is the from JSON. So we are getting the value from JSON. So for getting the ID, so we get this as an integer value, from this as a string, this as a string, and now this is for the passing that JSON. So the current weather is successfully created here. If I click on save, so we get the weather current data. So if you see the screenshot, we got this thing done, which means current weather done, and we have to store everything here inside our weather data class. So this will be something like, we will have other class like weather data, early.dart, then we will have other class like weather data, and this can be daily.dart. This for fetching the daily data, this for fetching the data on the basis of various different hours. So we'll be coding and creating models for them after we are done with this current thing. So here you can see inside this current model, we can get the weather here, the wind speed, and from that weather we have all of these values. And now one important thing, here you can see for each and every request that we are making, we are getting this particular icon 04D. And now let's see what is the meaning of this. So if you write open weather here, and then after that we write open weather icons. So for each and every API response that you are receiving, we inside this icon so let's say right now the location was this Manhattan. Now let me get my current location. So for getting the my current location, after I add this, I can just write this as longitude.value, and I will also paste this here, or rather this can be latitude.value, then longitude.value. If I open my debug console here, I reload the application, we got my latitude and longitude. So I'll copy this, I'll paste it inside this, I'll also get this, and I will paste this inside this. And now if we make another request, we should be getting the data for our current location, which is Lucknow. So if you see here, we got the time zone change, which is right now in my location. So for that we have the temperature here, we have the humidity, we have the percentage of cloud, and we have also the wind speed. And for the current time right now in Lucknow, we have this 2:46 AM. So that's the meaning of N. Whenever the time is night, so we will be showing all of these icons 1N, 2N, 3N, 4N. And for the daytime, we are displaying these icons 1D, 2D, 3D. So these are the custom codes that are returned through the API. So what we will be doing is, we will be getting this particular icon and then manipulating that particular value, this string value, inside a string, and the total string that will be created after adding two string will be the name of the asset. So if you see our assets folders, if we have this weather icon, so we have 01D. So inside our 01D means if there is a clear sky, we will be displaying this, and if this is the night version, so we will be displaying this. If there are other values here, so if the rain is there, like if the thunder is there, if the fog is there, so these are all the values, and that's the reason I wanted you all to download this particular GitHub repo, because I have added all of these here. So I can also give you a quick tip with the place where I found this icon 8. If you go to icon8.com, and here if you search for weather, so if you search weather here, then you will be shown with all of these options. And here you can see the icon that I used was with the name Windows, I guess. Let's say I can find, okay, so I use this particular Windows 11 icon, and from there I get all of these values and save them inside one particular file, so as to not waste much of your time, and then rename all of them to 1D, 2D. So this was a little bit of tough work for me, but although anything for you guys. So here you can see I will remove this, click on save, and now we can just close this also, close this Safari window also. And now it's time to get this particular value and also the temperature. So for getting that, what we will be doing is, we have this weather data current, weather data daily, weather data hourly. So we will be getting the weather data current first. So we are storing all of these values inside our weather data class, which will be a final class that will be called. So we'll write weather data.dart, and inside our weather data.dart we will write weather data, and then we can call our final value, which will be weather data I guess I would have to write this somewhere. So you have to create an instance here for getting the API response. And after we get the API response, then we can create these values and fill them with the values. So what is happening here right now is every time we get the value inside our JSON, we'll be calling this weather data and returning the particular weather data current value which we will be creating. So this will be weather data current, and inside this weather data current we'll be creating a constructor which will be current, and then we can write weather data current. This will be this dot. I guess this is showing some error here. Okay, we have to write this as a class, and this will become weather dot current. Click on save. So this can be null, so we will write required here because this is the value that will be passing every time we call this weather data current. So if you go to our weather data, and here we will write weather data current. Let's say we write this as current, and this need to be initialized. So if you see create constructor, so we created the constructor for this also. Click on save. So we got this done, and now we will be creating a function inside our global controller which will be getting the current data. So for that, what we can do is the place where we have this get location, we'll go here, and after we got the location inside this value part, we'll be updating the value of our latitude and longitude and then calling our weather API. For our weather API, we will be going to this lib folder and create another folder which will be with the name API. Here we can create a file which will be API key.dart. So here you can update accordingly to your need also. So I'll copy paste my API here, API key, and I can get the API key from my Postman because I already created the account in front of you guys. So here we will just paste this, and now as far as this is concerned, so we'll write fetch weather.dart. Okay, so this will be .dart, and we can write this as a fetch weather API, and now we can call our weather data, which is our weather data here. This will be weather data, and we have to create this function that we remember in starting we mentioned this function process data. So we'll be creating a future process data, processing the data from response to JSON. So we'll write this as future which will be of type weather data. This means this will return a weather data here. So we'll write process data, and the values that it will take are the latitude and the longitude, which will be an async function. And now what we can do is we'll get the response, but response we can only get after making a call. So we'll write await HTTP, as we don't have HTTP here, so we'll write import HTTP as HTTP. We'll write http.get. If we write directly a URL, let's say I write as google.com, this will show me an error. The argument string cannot be assigned to the parameter URI. So we'll write URI.parse, and then we have to assign the URL. So what we can do here is we don't have the URL as such, so we'll be creating a string which will be API URL. It will get the latitude and the longitude, and currently the API URL is, if you go to our Postman, this is the current URL. So the way you can do is we'll first of all create a value string, and then we'll update the value with our particular endpoint. So now let me just do a little bit of things here. If you see, this is okay. We don't have the latitude here, so we will write as $latitude. We don't have the longitude here. Okay, let me just see. So we will write $longitude, and we also don't have the app ID. This app ID is generally the API key, so we will write this can be API key, and this will import the API key that we just created. Units can be metrics, and we need to exclude this and save this, and now we can return the URL. So whenever we'll call this API URL, we have to pass the latitude and longitude, and now we got the response done. We have to take this in a JSON string. This will be JSON decode and response.body. Perfect. And now we can pass this value. This will be weather data current, and now we have to create the instance from JSON, so which we don't have right now. So we have to go to our current weather, and inside our current weather construct instance, we can write this as factory weather data current from JSON. This will be of type map and dynamic, and this will become JSON. And from that JSON, what we can do here is we'll call our weather data current and pass the value from this. This will be like this. So the thing what we are doing is, let me just explain everything. So here you can see, we will go here. So we are having first of all 3 lists, which will be current, hourly and a daily. So before we code our daily and hourly, we will be first of all working with current list, and this list can be generated after we fetch the response from the API and get it inside our JSON file. So here you can see variable JSON string is equal to JSON decode. So we got the response, and then we are converting that response to our JSON string. Now we have to pass that value to our current data. We can not directly pass that value to current data because inside our current data we have no constructor. So we have to first of all create this from JSON. That means whatever value this current data will get, it will take that value and then use that JSON by again calling the function and then passing the current value as this JSON. So it will take the JSON, which is the entire list, and then it will get the current list, and store this inside our weather data current, and from there we can get all of these values, which will be in next steps. So if you go to our fetch weather, here we will write from JSON, and we will pass this JSON string. Perfect. And here we can return weather data. Click on save. What's the error? A type of value weather data. Okay, I guess this can be empty. Perfect. Click on save. So we got the fetch weather here, and now all we need to do is we'll go to a global controller, and inside our global controller we'll call the API. So this will be return weather fetch API, or rather this was with the name fetch weather API. And then inside that fetch weather API, we have our function which is process data. So we'll call that data also. And now it is asking for the latitude and longitude, which we already have here. So this will be value dot latitude and value dot longitude. And then after this call is done, what we can do is we will set the is loading to be false, and also we will update this value here. This will be final weather data, which will be weather data dot obs. And what we can do is we can get this as a list of values. So if I click on save, okay, now this is okay. So the final thing we'll doing is weather data dot value is equal to value. Click on save, and now we got the value stored inside this weather data. Now we can go to our home screen, and inside our home screen, after this header widget, we will be needing where our screenshot went. Okay, so our screenshot is here. We have to create another widget. We have to create another widget which will be here for our current temperature. So this is with the value that we get from JSON current. Okay, I'm just writing all of these comments so it is easier for you to understand, because these types of things are a little bit complicated, the API part. And now for our current temperature, if you see, what we can do is we will write current weather, and we have to create this value. So we will write current weather widget.dart. We will do import material.dart. We can create a stateless widget, current weather widget, and here let's say I return a container for now. If I write this current weather widget, this can be like this, and inside a current weather widget, what we'll be needing as an argument here is we will be calling our current weather, which is this class that we created, current weather data current. So we'll write final weather data current, and we can also assign this here. This will be required, this dot weather data current. And if you go here, we have to provide this weather data current, and the way we can fetch this weather data current is we have to call our global controller, and inside our global controller, if you see the functions that we have, we only have this check loading, get latitude, get longitude. So we have to create a function through which we can get our weather data that we have finalized. So this will be like get weather data, and inside this we can return weather data dot value. Click on save. Now we got the global controller dot get weather data, but now this is a weather data type and we are using some value which is of weather data current. So let's see what's the issue here. If you go to this weather data, this will be like this. Okay, so we have the initialization and done here. We got the call value here. If you see the weather data, okay, so we have to create function to fetch these values. So this can be like, if you see weather data current, so we can write a function get current weather, and this will be calling our current. This can be null, so we will write this. And here if you go to our home screen again, let me close that. If you go to our home screen again, home screen, other than the get weather data, we have this function you do here. We created that function, but it is not showing here, I guess. If you see the global controller, this weather data is of type weather data and an RX value. So why are we not returning this as a weather data? Let's see whether now we will be able to save this. So if you go to this, okay, so now it is showing me get current weather. And what is the issue here? Type of null cannot be assigned. We can change this as get data, and this can be get data. And now let's see why is this showing as an error. If we restart, even then this is showing as an error. Okay, this is showing as a value of null cannot be assigned. Okay, so we are using a const value here which is of no use to us. If we do a hot restart, all our errors have been solved. This means, I guess, hopefully this is working. Now let's see. If we go to our current weather, let's try to fetch whether our current weather is working or not. So we can do is, if I write child, this can be a text, so we have to do, this will be like this. We will write weather data current dot current. Okay, and then let's see. First of all, let me open my Postman so that the data is accurate. Right now we are getting for the Lucknow only. So if you see the current, let's say wind speed is 0. So if I get wind speed here, wind speed, click on save. Okay, so wind speed is 0, that means this is working. Let's check some other values. humidity 94. If I write humidity 94, click on save. Okay, let's see our weather class that we created. If you go to this current, this was the custom thing that we created because the extension was not able to create for us. We have ID, main, description. So let's see the current description at my location. This will not be inside the current because inside our current list we have one other list which is with the name weather. So we have to write weather dot and description. This can be null, or rather, why is this the error? Okay, so I think the reason why it is not getting is we have to get the current 0 index. Let's see. Okay, missed. If you check here, missed. Perfect. So this means the API data is working. The only thing we have to do is we have to design our application now. So let's do that thing also. We will return a column with the child. If you go here, and you can also do one more thing. You can center our home screen list. Okay, and click on save, and now this is okay. Inside our column we will create the temperature area, and other than that we have our more details in which we will have our wind speed, humidity, and what was the last thing that we have? We have the wind speed. Okay, the clouds. So now for our temperature area we can create this widget function, temperature area widget, and for our current weather more details, and this can be temperature area widget. This will be with the name widget. Okay, this will be current weather, and we can also do the same for temperature area. Let's say we are returning a container in both places for now. Also do the same so as to remove the errors. First of all, we will code this temperature area widget. So we can go here, and if you see this temperature area, we have this row. Inside that row we will have our image, then this container, and then the rich text. So we will create a row. So now we can return a row. Inside our row we will write the children can be, first of all, image.asset, and now if you see we will have this assets folder, then weather, and then getting the current index. So this is assets, images, and then we need to get the value of the icon. So this will be weather data current dot weather, getting the 0 index. This will be like this, and then getting the icon and adding our .png, because only then if this will run. So click on save. Unable to load assets images. Let's see why this is showing me an error. Okay, so this is so there is nothing as images. This is weather. So click on save, or rather if I reload, we have the image here. So this means this is working. Let's assign some values. This can be 80 and width can be 80. For our main row, this can be space around. Click on save. Right now this is here. You can also have a container with a height 50 and a width 1. Color can be, so we can also create one value here which will be custom colors.dart, but this will not be inside our widgets. We can create another folder with the name utils. We can create this file here, which will be custom colors.dart, and as we created this util, we can also do API url.dart here, and from this we can copy this here, paste this here. The values that we need is, it is showing me an error because of API key. Okay, so we have to import our API key. Got this done here. So we have the API URL here, and we can just import this, remove this from our fetch weather. section where we are having our fetch weather API. So inside our custom colors, we can write custom colors, and by the time when I created a starter project, I don't have this custom colors here, but what we can do, what I'll be doing is I will be adding all of these values inside the, I'll be creating a file here, let's say custom colors.txt, and I will paste all of these values here in the, so whenever you will be downloading the starter project, you will get all of these values, because while the time of creating the starter project, I don't think I have the project structures done, this API, the controller, the model screens. So that's the reason I have not mentioned the custom colors here in the starter project. So I'll be only creating a txt file. I'll paste all of these values. So when you will be structuring the project after coding alongside me, so then you can paste all of these values here. So now if you see, we have the custom colors dot divider line. So click on save. We got the divider line here. After this container, we will have a rich text, and this can be text can be, first of all, we will get the current weather temperature, or rather the current temperature. This will be current dot temperature to integer value, because we don't want to show round offs right now. Let's see what is the issue. If you see the temp value here, this is a double. We can change this to an integer value. This will be as num, and then we can do a round off for this. So if the value right now, if let's see the temperature here in Lucknow, if the value, okay, so the temperature is 26.99, so we don't want to display 26.99 right now. What we can do is we can directly display 27 as a round off for that. So the round off can be only possible if we have this integer value. So we got that integer value, and in place of that, we just wrote this function round, and this will do the round off for us. And now if you see, the issue that we are getting here is, if I can copy this, okay, so we cannot assign the text here. We have to assign the text span, I guess, text span class. So we have to write text span, and inside this text span only can create the children. So with that children, I can do is we will write text span again, and then I can assign the text, which will be like this. This is showing me an error here. Okay, click on save. Double is not a type of integer. Okay, we have to reload because we just changed the value, so we have to allow this to get the values. If you save this, right now this will not show anything. If you change some colors here, if you write this as color of font weight can be .600, font size can be 68, let's say, and font color can be, or rather if you see our custom colors, text color black. If you click on save, we got the 27 displayed here. And now the thing that is missing is an degree sign. So for generating the degree sign, either you can copy from the websites. If you see, if you open weather, let's see the current. Okay, so currently this is 27 degree, which is, we are also seeing that inside our application also. You can copy this, and let's see whether this icon is working or not. So if you open weather icons, and this is the icon, I guess, missed icon. If you see right now 50N, and with the 50N we have this icon, and this is the icon that has been displayed here. And now what we can do is we can copy this, we can paste it here or here. So either you can directly do this, or if you are on a Mac, then I have the shortcut here, Shift Option and 8. So this will do a degree sign here. You don't save. We got this thing done. Now we can create another text span, which will be copying this and pasting it here. And now we can change this to W400, and the text size can be 14. and this can be colors.gray, and for that value we have to provide a description now. So we'll go to a current, then the weather, we'll get the 0th index as we got it above, and we'll get a description. We'll click on save. We don't need to assign a degree here, so we'll remove this. 27-degree mist, so we got the temperature area done. Now we need to get the current details, which are, if you see, let's see, we got this thing done. We have to get the current detail, which is the wind speed, the cloud percentage, and also the humidity. So what we can do here is, we will be creating a column, and inside our column we can have two rows. First row will be this, second row will be this. So this will be row children, and the space between children can be, or rather the main axis can be dot space around. Why is it showing me an error? Okay, so this column will have, okay, let me just do this. Perfect. Click on save, and now inside the children we'll have a container, and now we have to do the decoration for this container. Height can be this can be 60, padding can be 16, and decoration can be box decoration. Color can be our custom colors dot card color, and then border radius can be border radius dot circular, and let's say 25. Why is it showing me an error? Click on save. Okay, 25 is too much, so let's say 15. Okay, 15 is good. And now inside the child we can provide the child as image.asset, and if you see these icons, which are cloud, wind speed, and humidity, we have to call them. So we'll write assets icons. This can be, first value that we need is the wind speed, so this will be wind speed dot png. Click on save. We got the wind speed here. And now all you need to do is copy this and paste it 3 times. So this will be like this, and wind speed can be replaced with cloud.png, and this can be replaced with humidity.png. Click on save. Okay, we got that done. Now I guess we have to assign a little bit of size box here. So this can be, height can be 15. Click on save. Okay, perfect. Or rather, let's say 20. If you see, this is also inside our list view, so no need to worry about the screen dimensions. And now the final thing is, after this row that we created, we can create another row which will be of the same type that we done. So this will be kind of a row, and main axis can be space around, children can be size box with a height of 20, width can be 60, and the child can be text, weather data current dot wind speed, which will be in kilometer per hour, and we can define some styles here. It should be font size can be 12, and the alignment can be text align dot center. Let's see whether this is working. Click on save, copy this, paste it 3 times. Okay, we can assign a little bit of height here. Perfect. And for this we have to change this to clouds. This can be percentage, and we have to change this to humidity, and this can also be percentage. Let's double check with this with our Postman. If you do the request again, we have the clouds at 75%, perfect, and we have the temperature as 27%, wind speed is 0 km/h, and the humidity is 94. So this means this is working in our iOS simulator. Now let's run our Android simulator also. If we start our Google Pixel, but before starting our Google Pixel, I want to do a little bit of things here. If you see our Geolocator plugin, let's say where was our Geolocator? Geolocator. For our Android thing, we have to assign this value, which will be this. So we can go to our VS Code here. I'll search for Android manifest, and here the outside this application section, we will paste this here. It will be like this. Perfect. Save. And we can also get one more thing, which will be our internet. Okay. Let's see whether we have to do any other things also. I guess not as of now. So we can just close this and open our Pixel. Just wait for this to open. Okay, so I guess the Android application has been started, and if you come here to our Android simulator, here we have the Lucknow showing us and the current temperature, and then we have the wind speed and the cloud percentage and the humidity percentage. Now let's say what we can do here is inside, if you click on the settings for this particular simulator, then we have this option of setting up the custom location. So let me just set the custom location as mountain view. I click on set location. Now if I go to my Visual Studio Code and click on reload, so this should show me the particular location as mountain view. Okay, and the current temperature is 22 degrees there, and we have the broken clouds. This is the current date. Perfect. So this means our Android simulator is also working, and also our iOS simulator. And now it's time to, first of all, I will be closing this Android simulator and getting back to our iOS simulator, because I find iPhone simulator to be a much better experience while developing Flutter application.
One eternity later.
Okay, so we are done with our temperature widget where we have the particular current temperature. Then we are also done with the more detailed section. Now it's time to, first of all, let me see the screenshot. So we have to develop this particular list view inside which we will have different lists items, and that items can be a container in which we will have our values, and these values will be sorted according to the basis of different timestamp. So what we need to do first of all is, let me go to this model, and here inside this weather data hourly, we have to create this model. So if you see this hourly model, you can just copy this and go to our weather data hourly basis and click on paste here. I will remove this, and now let's see what are the values that will be needing for this model. So on our hourly basis, if you see this, on our hourly basis, we only need a temperature and the current weather. From that current weather, we will be fetching the icon. So this will be inside our weather list. So if you see this hourly basis, we have this weather list where we can get this particular section. Then we have the date, then we have the timestamp here, and then the current temperature. So let me just see. First of all, we will get this date, we will get this timestamp, and for this double value, as we did in our current temperature here, we change this to integer value. You can copy this, or rather I will copy this part, paste it here for the temperature, and we can change it to integer value. And now we have to remove some of the values. We will be requiring this timestamp, then the temperature, and we don't need all of these. Only we need is the weather section. I can remove them from here. This will be this dot weather. and I can remove all of these from here. Just don't remove this weather part here. And okay, perfect. Now it is showing me weather is not defined yet, so we'll go to our current section and where we have created our custom weather model. Copy and paste this here and click on save. So now we got a model created. Now it's time to first of all create a class through which we can import this. So if you go to our weather data current, we have this section here now. So we'll change this here, and this final current will be hourly. We can write this as hourly basis. This will become weather. We can copy this, click on Control F, and we can replace all of these with weather data hourly basis and click on replace all. And now this will become hourly basis. And now factory weather data hourly from JSON. We have this JSON part here, and this will become hourly basis, and current from JSON will be changed to hourly.json. So this will be hourly.json. And now if you can go to our weather data, we have created the list of items here. So this can be final weather data hourly basis, and we can change this to hourly data. This can be hourly, and we have to create a function. So this will be weather data hourly, get hourly weather and hourly. The constructor is not defined. Okay, so this will be get hourly weather. Okay, click on save. Now all you need to do is we will go to our home screen, and after this current weather we have to display our next widget, which will be for our hourly basis hourly data. So we can write this as, or rather first of all you have to create the widget, which will be hourly data widget.dart, and I can import material.dart. This will be stateless widget, and this will be with the name hourly data widget, and we can return a container, and the value that we called inside our current widget was final weather data current. So here we have to call our hourly data, so like weather data hourly basis, and this can be, let's say, and now if you click on this, here we have this icon. If you click, and perfect. Now if we go to our home screen, where we have to call this particular widget that we created, so this will become hourly, what was the name, hourly data widget. Let me just double check, hourly data widget. Okay, hourly data widget, and now the value can be global controller dot get data dot get hourly weather. Click on save. Okay, this is error here. If you click on reload, then this will fetch the data. Null check use on, and so let me just check this, get hourly data and weather data hourly. And here if you see this weather data hourly basis, here we have a list of items here on hourly basis. So what we can do is, if you write this, we have to map all of these values. So for that we can create a list of items here hourly, and then we have to create a map for these. So this can be like list of hourly dot from JSON dot from, and then we have to get the hourly data and do a map which will be equal to hourly from JSON, and this value will be E here. Perfect. And now if you click on reload, we are not shown with any error, I guess. Let's see what is the issue here. So this value is null here. If you click this, okay. So why is this showing null here to us is, I forgot to tell you, the one part that we created now, this list item, this is okay. But if you also go to our API, the weather data, the place where we are fetching the weather data. If you click on this fetch weather API, here you will see we have the response, the JSON string, and then we are getting the weather data and storing only the current data. So this means if from the HTTP request that we are making to our API, we are getting a response, then we are taking the body of that response to a JSON decode function, which will decode all of the values inside in a JSON format. Here you can also see passes a string and returns a resulting JSON object, and then we have to pass that JSON object to our weather data current and also our weather data hourly, but we have not defined weather data hourly here. This will be weather data hourly. Hourly data can be, or rather if you write, this can be from JSON, and we can do the same as we did here. If I reload now, then this will not show me an error, I guess. Okay, so now it is reloading perfectly fine. So if you go to our widget in which we are going to create for our hourly basis here. So first of all, if you see the screenshot, in center we have this today, and then we have all of these widgets. So what we can do is we write column, then the children, and in this children we will have a container, let's say, which will have a child, and this can have some styling properties like, click on save. And other than that, in this container we can have symmetric, edge symmetric, and this can be vertical 5, horizontal 20. Okay, the child need to be at the bottom place, and other than that, the final thing can be alignment dot top center. If I click on save, okay, this is in the center. And I guess we have to provide a little bit of size box here, so we can go to our home screen and you can copy this, paste it after our current widget. Okay, and now if you go to our hourly data, below this container we will have another widget which will be our hourly list. This will be a widget, so we can create this here only, hourly list, and this will return a container with a height, let's say 150 for now. We can increase that accordingly, and then the padding can be, top can be 10 and bottom can also be 10. Then we have to create a child which will be a list view. So this will be list view dot builder, and now we have to give the item count here. So item count, this means we have to give the item count. How we can calculate the item count is we will go to weather data hourly, then we can get the hourly list, and then we can get the length of this. But now if you see, if we make another response here, so inside this hourly data we have a ton of data, 1 2 3 4 5 6, so this list go on forever. So what we can do is, instead of fetching all the data, which can be somewhat like 40 to 50 data, we can do a condition here. So if this length is greater than 12, then we can pass the item count as 12, else we can pass the item count as the current list. This means if the particular list has less than 12, then we can pass this particular item here. If let's say there are only 8 values or 9 values, then we can pass the 8 or 9 as the item count value. But if the values are more than 12, then we don't need to fetch all of the values which are more than 12, so we can just pass the value as 12. We got the item count here. As far as item builder is concerned, we will write context comma index, and here we can return the OBX because we want this as an observer. So the way we can do this here is, and this will be like this, and we can create a container. Okay, so what we are doing here is we are creating a container. So this will be a container, and whenever we click on this container, the location will keep on changing for this color value from here to here. Then if we click on this, then it will change to here. So for that, I guess we have to create a gesture detector, because we want, whenever we click on tap, we want the location to be changed. So we can wrap this with a widget. This will be gesture detector. Right now we will not be defining the on tab. Let's first of all design our let's first of all define our design. So this can be decoration, can be box decoration. Then inside this box decoration we can provide a gradient. This can be linear gradient, and it is asking for the color, so this can be custom colors dot color first gradient color. Then we can write custom colors dot second gradient color. Click on save. You go back here. Then other than this decoration we can also provide, other than this gradient we can also provide border radius, which can be circular 12, and then we have to provide a little bit of box shadow. So box shadow is always the list, so we can create a list of box shadow. Offset can be 0.5, 0, and the blur radius can be 30, and spread radius can be 1, and color can be colors, or rather the custom color dot divider line with alpha, and we can set the alpha as 150, let's say. I click on save. Nothing will show here because right now we have to create a child also. So inside this container we can create a child which will be our hourly details. So for that, if you come outside this scaffold, and here we will write hourly details class, and we can create a stateless widget which will be hourly details, and this hourly details will take few values like the temperature. Then it will also take the current day. It will also take the weather icon, which will be a string. So we got a day here, the temperature here, or this day will be the timestamp, which we can be in the time duration of 30 minutes, let's say. Right now we can do required this dot day, required this dot temperature, required this dot weather icon. You can click on save. I have to remove this. And now first of all we can return a container here. You can click on save, and for the child what we can do is we will call this hourly details here, and this will take values like the temperature, so which will be weather data dot hourly, and we can get the current index. And after getting the current index, what we can do is we will get the temperature, and this can be like this. And other than that we have the day here, so weather data hourly, then hourly, getting the current index, then date here, rather this will not be day here, I guess this can be date, or rather if you see this can be timestamp. So this will be also timestamp. We provide the timestamp as this, because if you see here, this is an integer value. We can write it as a timestamp here, and the last is weather icon. So this will be weather icon dot hourly. We will get the current index, then we can get the weather, and this weather will take the first value, whatever the item is there, and from that we can get icon. I guess this will show the okay. So now we can click on save. We have nothing to show here. If we click and write a child as text, let's see whether this will show the current temperature to string. Click on save. I click on reload. So proper use of GetX have been declared. You should use a GetX or object for the specific widget that will be updated timely. So let's see what we are doing wrong here. What if we remove this objects here? I guess for removing that we have to remove this, then all of this value here. Okay, so right now we are only shown 29, 29, 29, 31, 33, 34, 36. So this list view can be with the scroll direction axis dot horizontal. If I click on save, okay, we can see we are getting the scroll direction as horizontal here. Now here what we can do is, first of all we will be designing our application now. So we will write or rather we will return a column, and inside that column we can have the main axis as a space around, and we can get this as a container. We click on save, and now inside this container we can get the time, or rather the timestamp to string. Click on save. Right now this is showing us this timestamp. So if you want to convert this timestamp to our particular hourly basis, what we can do here is we will create a new string here. This will be string get time, and here the value can be day, or rather the timestamp here that we are sending. Now we cannot directly format this because first of all we have to take that particular timestamp and do a millisecond epoch so as to convert this in a particular format. So we will write date time dot millisecond from millisecond epoch, and now if we pass the timestamp, so here you can see this is in this particular format, the 1970-01. So this timestamp is in this format, so we have to first of all convert this to our milliseconds. So for milliseconds, let me first of all go with this particular timestamp. So if we create a string value here, we have to store this also. So this is date time, so we write date time is equal to this. String can be date, or this will be date format. So if you click on this date format, the place where I shown you the particular format, so here you can see we have the format somewhere. Okay, so if you use date format.gm, then we can get the time in this particular format, like 5 p.m. So we have to write this as jm, and then we have to format this particular time that we are receiving. If I click on save and return x here, and inside a child, what we can do is we will write get time, and we will pass the timestamp here and click on save. So now we are getting 1024, 1024, 1024, 25. So right now this is not in the particular format. So if you want to get a 30-minute duration, so if let's say we multiply it with 1000, 1130, 1230, 130, that means right now it is in 1 hour duration. If you want to get it for, let's say, 30-minute duration, 2:30, 3 p.m, 4 p.m, 4:30. So we can go with 1000 here, because with that 1000 right now, because with that 1000 I guess this is much more accurate. So we can see the weather for 11:30 p.m, then we can see the for 12:30, then 1:30 a.m, 12:30, 2:30 a.m, and so on. So what you can do is here inside this container we can create the margin. This can be edge insects only, top can be 10, and the child can be this, and we will create another container which will have our child as image.asset, and for getting the asset we will write assets, and this can be the same as we did weather, and we will get the particular weather icon .png. Let's say we click on save. Okay, so we are getting those icons here also. We have to define some properties like height can be 40 and width can be also 40, and for this particular container we can define the margin as 5. Click on save. Okay, so this looks a little bit better now. If you go and see other container, which will be this container, here we will write container margin can be again bottom padding with a 10, and the child can be the temperature. So how we can do that is like this, and then we can do shift option in 8, and we got the temperature here. So 29 degree, 29 degree, 29, and tomorrow somewhere around 7:30 a.m. or 8:30 a.m. I get the temperature here in Lucknow as 33 degree or 34 and 36. So the initial part is done, I guess. Now all we need to do is code this thing. So what we will be doing is whenever we click on this particular icon, the color should be changing from, let's say if I click on this list item, then I want this particular gradient to be applied to this list, and this should change back to this gradient. color, which is a normal background color. So for doing that, if you can go to our, first of all, so we can create a value here which will be the card index, which will get the which will get the current index. We are using rx int because we will be using this also in our global controller for creating a function. Whenever that particular item will be clicked on, that function will be called and it will update the value. We'll write card index and we will write global controller, and inside this we have to create a function which will be get index. So this global controller will have a function which will get the current index. So we can write this as rx integer get index, and we can return the card index, which we don't have right now. So we have to create that also. So this can be rx integer and current index, which can be 0.obs. This means observable. So we can return this current index. Okay, this is current index here. And other than that, we can, if this is loading, then we will get the particular location, else we can get the current index. That means whenever this global controller is called, first of all we will check whether that circular progress bar is loading. If that particular progress bar has stopped loading, which means the data has been fetched successfully, then only we have to call this get index function. That means we have to only call this function when we will be updating the values, and values we can only update after we receive the data. So this will be get index. Click on save, remove this, click on save. And now if you see this hourly widget here, hourly list here, we have this is okay, item count, item builder is also okay. We have the gesture detector, and on tab for the gesture detector can be something like card index dot value is equal to index, which means the current index whichever has been passed to this item builder. If I click on save, and now for the decoration, if the gradient here inside the gradient for this box decoration, we have to implement one logic. So let me just cut this here, and here we will write card index dot value. If the current value of this card index is equal to the current index, then we can do this, and else we will return null. I guess we are having some issues. Okay, perfect. If I click on save, so if I click on this, right now it is not updating. Let's see why this is not updating me. I guess I would have to make this as an observer. So what we can do is we will write, or rather we will do return obx, which will be like this. Okay, so we need to provide them with two closing brackets here. So this will be two closing bracket. Click on save. If I click on this, okay, so now they are updating. So this means the observer, so this means our GetX is working. If I also reload, here you can see we are getting that OBX working here, and we are also updating the color to whatever the icon has been clicked. So this logic is working fine here. The border radius we already got. The box shadow is already present. The thing that we can do here is we can provide this as a height of 160. Okay, this looks better right now. And for each of these containers, what we can do here is we will give the width as 90. Okay, this looks nice. Or rather, if you take the width as 80 or 90, and we can do a margin which will be from left 20 and right 5. Click on save. Okay, so now we can scroll a bit here, and this looks a little bit more better than what we have initially thought. So right now it is showing us 12 values. So you can see the last value is 1030. If you want to show more values, what you can just do here is, let me remove this. What you can do here is, if you go somewhere here where we were getting the length, so we can change this as 20, let's say. Like, remember the last value is 1030. If you reload, and we get the last value as 6:30 p.m. So here we can show a lot of data. So it is according to your choice. Let me just keep it back to, let's change it to 14, let's say. I reload and we can get all of these value here. So our this thing is a little bit completed here. So what we also want to do here is whenever the particular gradient has been clicked, so this means right now 1130 is clicked, we want to change the font color here. So for changing that, I guess we have to first of all do a check here for the current index and also the index. So we can pass the values here. This will be index and this can be current index, because we will be using this index and current index in the same manner which we have did here. So we have to, or this will be card index, sorry. We can create values here, card index, and this can be index. Why is it showing me an error here? Okay, I can remove this here, paste it here, click on save, and now we have to provide these values, which will be index can be the current index and card index can also be the current index. So if we were not in GetX, then we have to click on create another way of doing this. Why is it showing an error here? So I guess this is an RX index and we want this to as an index. Okay, and now you have to do a little bit of things here. If you take this time here, and we can do a styling for this. This will become text style, and color can be, if the card index is equal to our current index, then we will get the color as colors.white at custom colors dot text black color. Click on save. So right now it has changed to white. If you click on this, right now this also changed to white, this also changed to white, this. Okay, so this is working. So we can apply the same logic here also to our particular temperature. So we can copy this, and inside our temperature what we can do is we can write this as a style, text style. We can paste this here and click on save. Okay, so this is working. So this means we have created our widget here for our hourly data. Now the final thing that we have to do is for our, let's see the design. Final thing is we have to create another list which will have the daily data. So if you see this, let me just search for daily. Okay, so we have the list here. So let me explain the structure for this. Here if you can see this daily, this is a complete list, and inside list we have the JSON values. Okay, so in this particular JSON, if you want to get a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, then we have to take this timestamp, and through that timestamp only we are manipulating that in the format using this package that we have installed Okay, so we have the particular format option also where we can get this Saturday, Sunday and Monday. Now from that or rather after that we are to show this particular weather icon. So for weather icon we will be getting this list also. So we have the weather, the timestamp, and now this is showing the minimum and the maximum. So here you can see the minimum temperature and the maximum temperature will be displayed from this JSON, so which will be temperature. And I guess other than that we don't have anything as such. So we can go to our this widget, or rather our model, where we have the weather data daily, and right now this is empty. So we can copy the daily section here and we can copy this. We can click on paste, and now we don't need this folder because we have created all of our models, so we'll be deleting that too. So we need the date time here, we'll remove this. We need we definitely need a temperature value. So for temperature value, if you see, we already have the JSON somewhere. Okay, if you see this, we have the temperature, so we can copy and paste this here. We got the temperature here, and we don't need fields like humidity, pressure, wind speed and all that. We need the weather, so we can go to our current and get the current weather, or rather the weather format, and click on save here. And now we can remove this, or rather remove this. Do we need to get the clouds and the rain and the UVI? I guess not. I'll click on save here. Let me just remove all of these values. Should be here. Okay. You see this? Perfect. perfect. And for the minimum and the maximum temperature, we can change that to integer value. This will be integer. This will be integer because we don't want to show the round off, so we will write this as a round for the minimum, I guess. So this will be rounded, and this will also be rounded. Click on save. You see we have other things also. So weather is okay. Then we have this. Then we have this. So now for our weather data daily, we'll be also creating the list here in the same format that we did for hourly weather. So this will be weather data daily, and this list will be a daily list, and this can be weather data daily. So we got from JSON, this is done, and this will take the value as daily. So here also we have to write this as daily, and now this will be changed to daily from JSON, and we have the string. We have to get the JSON from this, and this will also be daily from JSON. We already have from JSON here, I guess. Okay, so this will work now. Oh, and we can delete them. We have the weather data current, weather data daily, weather data hourly, and the final class which will have weather data, so which will be making all the calls. So this will become weather data daily, get daily weather, and here I will write daily, and we don't have this, so we have to create the value here, weather data daily, and we have to also use this inside our list daily. Click on save, and now if you go to a fetch weather, the place where we were storing the JSON received from the API, we have to call a weather data daily from JSON and then pass this JSON string here. We click on save, and now inside our home screen, let me close this. So we got our hourly data widget here, in which we were showing the data on the basis of hourly. So now we have to create another widget which will be our daily data forecast. So we don't have this, so I guess we have to create this daily data forecast.dart. Click on import. This will be material.dart, and this can be stateless widget. This will be daily data forecast. Okay, this will be stateless data forecast, and okay, and we can return a container, let's say, for now. And this will also call the argument. This will also take the argument which will be what we have, that weather data daily, and weather data daily, this can be a required constructor, so we can just click on this, add a final field, click on save, and now if you go here, and now here what you can do is we will write weather. Okay, so let me just see this. We have to import this also. This will become weather data daily global controller dot get data dot weather data get daily weather data. Why is it showing me an error? Because we have to add a comma here. Click on save. Null check operator use on null value. If I click on reload, okay, so now I guess the JSON data has been stored for this also, daily data also. So we have to just design the application. So we'll go to daily data forecast, and inside this design you can see we have this one big container in which we will have all of the values, and inside that we have one column, and in one column we have this container for next days, and then another container which will contain our list. So let's say right now we will have one big container in which we will be having our background, which can be 400, margin can be 20, and padding can be 15, let's say, and we can provide a decoration as box decoration, and color can be our custom color, and we can call our divider line with alpha, or rather with alpha 0. Or rather 50, let's say, and for the border radius this can be 20. Click on save. It is not showing us the value here, or rather it is showing us the value. If you see, we can change the alpha value to 150. Okay, so this looks perfect now. Now what you need to do is you have to create a child which will be our column, and inside our column we will create the children which will be our first container in which we will have the next week. Alignment can be top left, and then we can create the child as days, and style can be our text color, which is this. Font size can be 17. Click on save. Next days is showing here, and we can provide some margin. This can be, click on save. Perfect. Now after this container we will have our daily list, so which will be a list builder. So we can write this here as widgets, or rather widget, and this will be daily list. And here we can return size box because we only need the height, so this will be height of, let's say, 300, and the child will be a list view dot builder, and this list view will dot builder will take values like list item count. So the item count, we can get the weather data daily, which is this, and then we can first of all write daily and then get the length. And if this length is greater than 7, which means we need to only display 7. If this length is less than 7, then we can display whatever the value it is. Save this. We only want the data for the next week, so nothing much complicated. So this 7 is okay here. So we'll write context and then the index, and here we can return the column, which will be like this. Here we will have different children. The first children will be our container, and inside that container we'll get the current date. For getting the current date, what we can do here is we will write, let's say somewhere here, we'll do a string manipulation, and we will write string get date, or rather get day, in which we will take the value of day. And here we have to do first of all date time in the same way that we did. So this will be date time dot millisecond epoch. We will get the day, we'll multiply that with 1000, and now we will take this particular format that we received and convert this. So for converting, we'll write final x the same way that we did for the previous one, and this can be time dot, or rather the date format. And if you click on date format, let's see the format for this also. Let me just see where there's a format. Where's the format? If you search for this, okay, so the format here is, if we write EEE, then this will display Wednesday, Thursday, Friday or Saturday. If we write MMM, then this will display July. So let's see whether if we write MMM, and we will format this particular time, and then we can return this X. And if you go here inside this container, let's say we create a child, this can be text, and this will call our get day, and the day that we have to pass is, we will get our weather data daily, and then we'll write this daily, and we can get the current index, and from that current index we'll get the date time. So right now we are only showing August. So if you change the format here to EEE, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 1st August, and right now it is Monday, so it is showing for Monday, then Tuesday, then Wednesday, Thursday. So this means this is working fine. Now what you can do is, now in this list view dot builder, we can provide the scroll direction as vertical, which is by default the vertical only here. If you do the container design, this can height be 60, padding can be, left can be 10, and right can be. Click on save. So we got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All of these values are displayed inside this. Okay, so if you see this is working fine. And then we have to create a row, but the way we can do that is, we have to first of all cut this from here. We will write this as a row, and main axis can be the one that we are using till now. This will be main axis dot space around, and we can create first child, which will be a size box, and with a width of 80, let's say. Child can be text, or rather we can paste this, and we have to provide some style. So this will be text style. Color can be custom colors dot text color, and font size can be 12. Click on save. Rather, let's say 14 or 13 is okay. And after this size box, we can create another size box which will have our weather icon. So this can be, say, 30. Width can be also 30, and child can be image.asset. And for getting the weather icon, what we have to do is we will write weather data daily will get the current index, and from that current index we will extract the weather and get the initial value, and then we can do the icon. Let me just show here .png, or rather this .png will be here. Click on save. Okay, so we have to also do, this will be like assets weather, and then okay, so we can see we are showing all the weather icons here. So let me see whether this is correct or not. For the next few days, if you go to our post man here, so we have the Lucknow loaded. Let me just see. Click on send for now. Okay, so Lucknow has been loaded here. If you click on daily basis, so 10D, 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 10D. This means this will be the only weather here for the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now, other than that, we can provide the last text, which will be maximum and a minimum. So for providing that maximum and a minimum, what we can do here is we will write weather data daily, get the current index. From that we can get the maximum. This can be empty, I guess, so this can be empty, so we'll write this as a maximum, and shift option and 8 for the, okay, this will be here. Then for the minimum we can also copy this in the same way that we did. So this will be weather data, or rather weather data daily, get the current temperature. Okay, and we can get the minimum value. Click on save. So we got the maximum and the minimum value here. We can also provide, let's say, a divider line after each of these value. Okay, so this looks okay. So we got our hourly data displayed here. Then we got this data. So we got this also completed. If you see, this is working fine. And now the final thing that we have to do is we have to create this particular section, comfort level. So the place where we are getting this is, if you see inside our current data, we are getting the we are getting the UV index, and then also we are getting this feels like, and for the humidity, 94% humidity, we can get it from here. So let's see our current model. So if you write this, okay, current model, weather data current. So this was the current model, but right now if you see, we are not getting the values for the feels like and the UVI and the humidity, or rather we are getting the value for humidity, but we are not getting the value for feels like and the UV index. So what we can do is we will create this value, which will be the UV index. It can be double value, so this will be UV index, and this will be this dot UV index. And other than the UV index, we have the feels like, which we can display as a double value too. So double value feels like, and here we will write this dot feels like, and we can do and copy this, paste it here. This will become feels like, and this will become some more thing like, okay, two double, this can be null. Okay, we are matching the same format for the wind speed also. The format that we got for wind speed, we are copying the same format, because right now you can see the wind speed is in the double value. So we got the humidity already done. We only need to Now do this for the UV index, and we can copy this here. We can just paste this here, and now this will change to, what was the value here, UVI, and this is feels like, so this will become UVI, and this is feels like. If you go here, you can do feels like, and this will become feels like, comma, UVI. This can be UV index. If I click on save and reload the application, so now we got all of the value added. Now let's create the final widget, which will be for that slider only. So we can create a container first, which will be the height 1, and we can do divider line. If you scroll this, we got the divider line here. And now let's assign some size box height also, so that we don't get the, okay, this is like this with the height 10, let's say. Click on save, and now if you go to our widgets, and we'll create a new widget, which will be a comfort level .dart. This will be import material.dart, and this can be stateless widget, which will be comfort level, and we can return a container. This will take the argument, which will be a current weather, so we'll write final weather data current, and here we can return required this dot weather data current. We click on save. Now we can call this as comfort level, and for the weather data current, we can do weather data current, or rather this will be global controller dot get data, and then we can get the current data. Rather, this was with the name get current data. Click on save. So we loaded all the current data in our comfort level widget. Now only thing we have to do is we have to code our comfort level widget. So for a comfort level widget, what we have to do is we will return a column. Inside that column, we will create a children, which will be a container, and we can create a little bit of margin. This can be top 1, left 20, right 20, and bottom 20. And first of all, let's create a child so that you see what padding we have assigned. So this can be comfort level with the title heading, and the style can be text style with the font size of 18. Let's say if I click on save, we got a comfort level added here. Now after this container, we can create a size box with the height of 180, let's say. Child can be column, children can be a center widget. In center, we will have our slider. So if you see, and if you visit, don't mind my ears, I just went so deep in the coding section for this that I forgot to see my face cam only. So if you go to this, you write sleek circular slider. Okay, this is here. So we can create a lot of options here. So we got this here. So what we will be doing is we will be taking the basic and changing some colors here. So if you see the sleek circular slider, so we'll write center child as sleek circular slider, and the minimum value can be 0, maximum can be 100. Click on save. We got the slider here. Now for the initial value, what we want to do is we'll get the weather data current, and then we want to display the humidity here. If you see, we are displaying the humidity, so we will write current dot humidity, and this can be 2 double, and this can be empty, so we'll like this. So the humidity right now in Lucknow is, if you see the Postman, humidity is 89, so we are displaying 89 here. Now this is done. If you want to do the, now we also want to first of all design some this. We will write this animated animation enable. Yes, we want the animation to be enabled. Size can be 140, let's say. Okay. And then we want to provide some custom colors. So the colors can be custom colors, custom slider color. And if you see, there are two properties, the progress bar color and the progress bar color. So we will be using this because we are providing a list of value. This will be custom colors dot first gradient color, then the custom colors dot second gradient color. If you click on save, we got this done here. Now what we also want to do is we have to change the track color. So this is the track color. So if you write this, okay, this will be somewhere here. This will be track color. If you write the first color, this can be like first gradient, but this is not looking that good. So we can do with alpha, let's say 50, and click on save. Okay, this is also okay. If you do with alpha 100, this is also okay. We can see we have the shadow here, so we can just remove the shadow. If you go to this, hide shadow, true, perfect. We got the shadow removed here. Let me just reload. Okay, and now we need to provide this information here. So this is with the name info property. If you click on this circular slide appearance, we can see we have all the options like size, the custom color, the info property. So we let info. Okay, this is inside this info properties, which will be info properties. Rather, this is bottom label text, humidity, and we can provide some style with text style as letter spacing 0.1, font size can be 14, height can be 1.5, let's say, or rather 4, let's say 5. Okay, this is looking okay. Humidity 89%. If you go in here, okay, so we are loading it from here. And now what we can do is we can also provide some custom width. So this will be inside this. So custom slider width, and we can have properties like handler size 0. Okay, we got that removed here. Track width can be 12, or rather this is track width 12 is not that okay. 10, rather 12 was okay. Then we can have the progress bar width 12. Okay, so now this looks perfect. You go on top and scroll here. Okay, then other than this slider container, or rather other than this, inside this we can create another row, which will be a row which will take few values, or rather the row will take first of all this text span and then this text span. So we have to create this row, which will be main axis alignment dot center, and the children can be rich text. So inside this rich text, we are using rich text because we have to use two text span. So this will be text span. Children can be the first text span with the text feels like, click, we can provide some style as font size can be 14, height can be 0.8, and the color can be custom colors dot text background color. Font weight can be 400. If you see this, click on save here. We got the feels like here. We can just copy this here and paste it again. Click on save. It's showing us an error, so many warnings. So here if you write this, then we can get this as current. Let's see what the name is, weather data current. This will be weather data current dot feels like. Click on save. Feels like 33.54, and we can provide a const value here and a const value here. Click on save. So feels like is like this. The only thing that we have to do now is we will create a container which will be with a height of, let's say, 25, and width can be 1, and the color can be colors, or rather the custom color dot divider line. And then if you click on save, okay, this is right now in attached to this, so we can provide a little bit of margin, and this can be only left can be, let's say, 30, and right, or rather 40, right can also be 40. Okay, now all we need to do is we have to copy this rich text from here and paste this one more time. So this will be feels like, and now here we can do is UV index, click on save, and for the UV index we will write UV. You do this UV index, if I click on save, so we have the UV index as 0, and we got that done. So now if you can see, let's reload the application for the final time and see whether everything is working fine. If you also want, we can replace it with our icon. So let's say if you go to our home screen and we have to replace the circular progress indicator with our custom icon. So what we can do here is we will go to our assets and let's see, and let's select one icon which will be for our application. I guess this clouds is okay, so we can write a center with an image.asset, and this will be assets. Okay, I have to remove this, and this will be like, what was the name, icons and clouds. .png, we can provide a little bit of height, 50, width can be 50. If I click on save and reload the application, and after that we are showing the screen, so let's say 200. If I reload, we are showing this, and now after that we are showing this. If you also want, we can create a column here in order below that particular image. We can create the circular progress indicator. So the child can be somewhat like, we'll cut this, or rather we will cut entire thing here, and the child can be our column. Children can be, first children will be this, second children will be circular progress indicator with, okay, click on save. If I reload, this is not in the center, so we can write main axis dot center, click on save, reload. Okay, perfect. Now this is working fine, and here you can see we have this today, and it is fetching us all of the information from 12:30, 1:30, 2:30, 3:30. Then we have the current wind speed, the cloud percentage, and the humidity percentage, and then we have the next day's temperature, and then the comfort level and the UV index. So this was everything for this tutorial. Hope you really like this particular video and you have gained a lot of knowledge in GetX state management. So thanks for watching, and do subscribe to the channel, and meet you in the next video.